Hello, beautiful people. How are you? Welcome to Into the Core podcast with myself, Linda. And I have a brilliant guest who is here with me, and I'm really excited about it. I have to tell you, before we get into that, we always have to break it down with our intro. Into the core.
Get into it.
All good things in Africa and beyond. Into the core. All good things in Africa and beyond. Well, definitely all good things in Africa and beyond. The good thing and the great person that I am going to be talking to is Sam Gichuru. I want to say thank you to Swahili Beach for hosting me for my podcast. And of course, I had to do the introduction to Swahili Beach. So if you've never been here, you need to get out there. Now we don't have any curfew, so you can now happily book a room and you can get out and see the lovely Diani. So again, thank you to Swahili Beach Resort and Spa for hosting Into the Course podcast. There's his sponsor. Right, so welcome back. As always, I said his name is Sam Gichuru. He's absolutely fantastic. If you're a techie, I am so sure that you know him. I'm sure that you've heard about him. And if you haven't, then you're really not you're not a techie person. So Sam, welcome to Into the Core. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm doing great. How are you doing, Linda?
I'm very well.
I like the
thank
music.
you.
I was almost dancing.
Which one? Into the Core or the Swahili
The
Beach?
intro one was pretty.
The intro. Oh, thank you. It was done by a good friend of mine, Kenny Allen. Anyway, let's get into it. So, describe the Silicon Savannah. Describe that. Just the words.
Come again.
Silicon Savannah. I know. I came swinging. Describe Silicon Savannah. The terminology.
Wow.
I know.
I have no idea how to do that. Completely.
Okay, then let's understand the background.
Silicon Savannah is a bunch of young, ambitious people who lacked opportunities in this country and decided to create opportunities for themselves using just their laptops and internet access. And while the government tried investing a lot in infrastructure, they failed in building spaces for young people to build themselves up. So I'd say Silicon Savannah is not Konza, neither is it what the government tries to sell us. It's just a lot of young Kenyans who are building solutions to solve their own problems. So maybe it should change to Silicon Savannah Warriors so that that's just them and not supposedly a place, a geographical place or an imaginary space. Can you hear me?
Wow, we went blind for a second there. We had some dead air. I'm just wondering.
Oh,
was
so
it on my
sorry.
end? Mm-hmm.
It was on your end, yes. I think you froze for a minute. But I was saying Silicon Savannah is not a place. It's young warriors, young techies who decided to solve their own problems. And so they're building solutions, mobile apps, web apps, hardware, just solve every other day problems in security, logistics,
Yeah.
e-commerce. in payments, in education. So don't let's not think of it as a place because if I belong to Silicon Savannah, I don't know what that means. I just think I'm just one of the techies in Kenya trying to make a difference and move them.
So, what was the first? Can you describe Nai Lab and how that came about?
Oh, now that was an interesting story. Accidentally just met a guy who turned out to be an amazing person called Tony Ndono. And long story short, he invited me over. He had been trying to operate Nyla for 6 months, but he needed a techie and a business dev person. And so I came in and I said, okay, fine. He said, I want you to be my business partner. And I said, okay, let me see what we're doing here. And then we looked at it and we decided to build a space for young entrepreneurs to come and work for and figure their solutions out. Bring these young
Right.
warriors in and try to shape them up and say, hey, this is how you build a business. And so we invested heavily in a physical space, but also in the soft skills, teaching them how to build a product, go to market, hire, scale their business, form
Yeah.
partnerships, fundraise. And I did that for 10 years. And in those 10
Yeah.
years, we achieved quite major milestones like raised millions and millions of dollars for these young people. I partnered
Yeah.
with big organizations, including big individuals like Jack Ma and the Jack Ma Foundation.
Yeah.
Um, and then we were able to host really amazing people because now the building we were located in became what you'd call a Silicon Savannah building in this case. And the building we managed, in the entire building, everybody, every other players we had, I have next to us, brick next to us, we managed to host from Mark Zuckerberg to Ban Ki-moon to Jack Ma to Alexander De Croo, the Prime Minister of Belgium, and quite a number of people who came over to just see the work we were doing.
Yeah.
World Bank presidents. And so we kind of just sort of created a movement where
Yeah.
Kenya became a hotspot for technology innovations. And so when the need for physical space dwindled,
Yeah.
everybody in the building spread out. And so the ecosystems just started growing in different parts of Kenya. And now we have got hubs across Kenya. We have a lot of hubs. We have associations of hubs as well now. We have government investment in some of these spaces a little bit, and yeah, whole place, the whole place blossomed and became amazing.
Okay. Oh, that's amazing. Um, was there any pressure on your side, like in terms of, you partnering with such large, like the Jack Ma Foundation, Mark Zuckerberg? I mean, like, was there pressure on your side between you and your partners, on how, perception, I guess.
Well, we didn't partner with Mark Zuckerberg, though some of the other people did. We partnered with Jack Ma Foundation and Jack Ma. The short answer
Oh,
to that
gotcha,
question is
gotcha.
I wouldn't do it again. So I guess that's easy.
Dear Lord, you're always so honest.
I'll do
Like,
something
yeah, I'm
else
not going down that
differently.
route.
Yeah, yeah. It's like that one. Just like that almost. Yeah, that was not easy. And anyway, I'm interested in easy things, but there was a lot. It had its time. It had its pace. It did what it was supposed to do. That's it. Lost you again, Linda.
I'm like,
Lost
oh
you
my
again.
God. Oh, I'm so sorry. I feel like the internet in the coast is just, it's been going up and down constantly. Anyway, my apologies, guys.
That's
So
okay.
I was just saying, I want to talk about Kidatu School and how you started that in 2020.
Actually, the school started in 2021, and so the actual school really, as a legal entity, was registered in 2021. But of course, I started working on it in 2020.
The internet is really terrible. Sorry, it keeps breaking in and out. Sorry, could you repeat what you said?
So I was saying that the building of Kidato started in 2020, but the actual turning it into a legal entity was 2021.
Ah, fantastic. Oh, okay. So, just give me the backdrop on the school and how you got yourself into that space.
So maybe break it into a couple of parts. Part one is I happen to have been with some friends in China. I visited the Alibaba company, and these friends were from across Africa, and they were all movers and shakers in their own spaces, small spaces where they were tech. Yeah, they were tech founders. They were building really interesting companies from Egypt, Nigeria, South Africa, Botswana, Kenya, and we were having dinner once, and I hadn't realized this until recently, where the genesis of it started from. And I remember saying to them, "Hey, we are not going to be the generation that's going to be a very successful Africa. It's going to have to be our children, our children's children. Unfortunately, we are the transitional generation." And we were quiet for a minute because that reality just sank into us. And like, wow, whatever we
Yeah.
are doing, we are not the ones to see the fruits of our labor. And so we agreed, hey, listen, I mean, like, if we don't do the right things now, we will have failed as the people we are accusing of failing right now. So we need to think 50 years ahead of ourselves in whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
And I think our friend from Nigeria said, Sam, that is the saddest, gloomiest thing I've had today. And it's correct. And so that was the beginning. And I remember as immediately I finished that, I picked my phone and typed up a note. I typed it out. I said, "This is a transitional generation. The next generation is our children, and we'll have to know how to invest in our children." So anyway,
Yeah.
2 years. I think 2 years later, I'm at the end of 2019. I'm running out of money. I'm running out of savings, and I'm thinking I cannot sustain taking my kids to a private school. And I already don't like private schools. I don't like what I'm paying for. I'm not getting quality education. They're doing a good
Yeah.
job, but they can be done better. And so I decided
Yeah.
to homeschool my kids. And then early 2020, COVID comes in, and now some of the teachers I'd hired could not come to my house, so they had to operate from their own homes. But I didn't want them to stop the learning process. So my kids just continued the learning process remotely with the teachers by sharing Zoom links. And so, from a techie perspective, the idea of people sending back and forth Zoom links was not just ideal. It's too much friction. You have to be home. You have to get a Zoom link on your phone, transfer it to your child's computer. So I
Yeah.
decided to create an interface for teachers where they could do the Zoom links and do a couple of other things. And
Yeah.
just from a platform to exchange Zoom links and have diaries for teachers to submit diaries to us to tell us what they taught for the day. That transitioned to a full online school. So which
Mm-hmm.
I built. I kept on building on it, but we only had those three kids, my sons. September 2020, 6th or 7th September is when we launched it to the public. Just said, here is a school, launch it to friends and family. And by the end of the first semester of 2020, which is September to December,
Yeah.
we had 12. We had 12 kids, I believe. Uh,
Wow.
and and so, come 2021, we managed to get into a seed funding accelerator called Y Combinator, who invested about $125,000 in us, and then we managed to have now the resources to build it. The point was not the money as much as it was that we found people who really believed in what we were doing. By
Yeah.
then, I had a couple of teachers and one volunteer, who later became my first employee permanent. Uh, super COO, who runs most of our operations and head of academy, which is called Effie.
Okay.
And so beginning of this year, we decided to go full throttle and turn it into a school. In the sense of just
Okay.
build it and scale it to a better school. So we offer a full academic program, which is a British curriculum. And then on the other hand, we offer after school classes like chess, coding, arts, etc. And so at this point, at the end of this year, as we finish the year, we do have in total number of registered students on our platform is about 1,800.
Mm-hmm.
So we are a year old last month. We are a year and 1 month old.
Yeah.
We have around total staff is around both permanent and temporary staff is slightly above 30. Um, and yeah, we're looking forward to making this one of the best schools, high quality education, fun, interactive learning for kids across the country.
Okay. I mean, that's really brilliant. I mean, like, I feel like this definitely brought in, it's the space that everybody now is plugged into that, should something happen again because of a pandemic or another outbreak, then we, you know, we'll have a few things sorted. At least I know for my son. I'm like, yeah, you got kid out. Don't even worry about it.
I can't wait for him to get on board. I can't wait to get him on board.
Oh yeah, he's definitely geared to in that direction probably in the next year or so. So we'll, yeah, God willing. Um, let's talk about some of the like mentoring people who are within the IT sectors and mentoring young children and how important it is to have that in, you coming in from Kidato with Nailab with the young, the young up and coming startups.
Well, I mean, I keep on. My life has been more of giving than it has been of anything. So Kidato is my second startup. My other one was Whohustle.com, which is still running, beautiful company. We have over 50,000 freelance platform. It's a two-way freelance platform where you can post a job and freelancers will bid for the job, and then we connect people with jobs online. And
Yeah,
so if you look at Nilab, my experience with Nilab was most of the young people who wanted to build really good products and who had really brilliant ideas, first of all, did not come from the high-end schools in this country. We rarely
yeah,
had the the high, I won't mention the name, but very high, the top tier schools that you read about where people pay $500,000 to $1 million um, per term in school fees. They were never showing up to build anything.
yeah,
The young people who came over to Nailab would come from, you know, the Kawaida colleges and Kawaida universities, public universities.
yeah.
I'm very proud of Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, JKUAT. They seem to produce some really hungry, young, driven, innovators. And I think it's one of my favorite universities in the sense of if somebody comes to me and said, I'm from JKUAT, I'm always like, yeah, sit down, talk to me about that. They are driven, they are hungry, but they have one element they are missing.
Which
They are
is,
not the same. They do not. They're not confident enough. Um,
mm,
they're not confident enough like the young people coming from some of the best private universities in Kenya.
yeah,
They don't know how to
yeah.
express themselves. They don't know how to sit across an investor, and they already play a sort of a level lower. They're always playing a level lower from the conversation they should be having. Low self-esteem, an ability to articulate themselves, um, straight up fear of expressing their own views and saying no
Oh,
when they
yeah,
need to say no. And so along the way, I realized most of them will struggle building companies because, or innovations like the Silicon Valley guys will do. People coming from Stanford are able to do that because they're very confident, sure of themselves. They're coming from an Ivy League university.
yeah,
So I think it hit me again and again that the investment for innovation has to be earlier and not in terms of going to primary school and high schools and saying, "Hey, let's teach you innovation."
yeah.
No, it's going back to the year eight. I mean, 8-year-olds onwards, and teaching them how to speak up their minds, how to be confident, how to trust their ideas, how not to be afraid of failure, how to embrace making mistakes, how to learn from their mistakes and just do it again, how to celebrate small wins. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
Yusuf.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and so yeah,
Uh-huh.
I think it hit me that I mean I don't want to have children who grow up and they cannot be as expressive and they always feel like they're third class citizens,
Yeah,
and so for me that was very important. During mentorship, is the one thing I picked was most people, and when most people who if you give most people advice who are coming from this university, they don't they don't think beyond the advice you give them. They just take the
yeah.
advice you give them and they run with that as if they don't question it and probe it and critique it to get the
And
best
break
out of
it
it.
down. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Break it down. Yeah. So that's why we have so many people blaming other people for their failures. We have so many people saying, "You told me to do this, but then or you asked me to do this," and somebody like, "Hey, I mean, I gave you an idea. I didn't tell you you have to do it, because I also
Yeah.
don't know what's the right thing to do. Just from experience. So yeah, I believe that by building Kidato, I'm able to solve those problems by going backwards towards building a school and building a school that young people can come, be confident, have fun, and be able to be comfortable with their mistakes and failures. Then they will be more successful, and they'll be more competitive globally. And so I am actually solving the NILAB problem of the future.
With a few?
Sorry, I'm
Sorry,
saying I'm
you
solving
cut off.
the Nilab problem. I'm solving the problem Nilab had, but
Yeah.
for a future Nilab. You know,
It keeps
Linda,
coming after me. Sorry,
no
it just
way,
flew.
forget it. It won't sting you unless you move quickly.
Oh Lord. All
You
right.
should be like, still like this. And then it comes, it will just think you're just part of the furniture and just move.
Oh, that's true. Then what if it
And
lands
even
on
if it
my?
lands on you, even it won't land on your head because then
Oh my gosh. Okay. Sorry, this is part of
pay
it
attention
anyway.
here.
I know.
Forget
I know.
the
I know. I
wasp.
know. I know.
Forget the wasp. I'll be the one watching out for the wasp.
Okay, please watch out for it, please, please. All right,
Mhm.
so one of the things, okay, so you're solving the problem for NILab, which is really great. What about, um, how should, and this is something that I know that you and I were speaking about, but how would some of these young entrepreneurs access funding? I mean, there must be like some way to help all these younger.
Funding is not a thing they should worry about. I mean, funding
Yeah,
follows good ideas and funding follows innovations. They should be worried about whether they're solving a problem that is important to a big group of people.
mm,
And usually that actually starts by solving a problem that is important to a small group of people. And so this knowledge is something they can acquire. But as I said before, knowledge is not enough. The sense of confidence, the sense of being self-aware, the sense of ability to say
yeah.
no or to not be afraid of mistakes.
Yeah,
Um, that those are the things that you need to innovate because if you're building something new, like a whole new school that has never existed before,
yeah,
you have critics and people who are skeptical about what you're trying to do and who don't believe in what you're trying to do, and it has its own challenges. Like somebody will say, "Hey, what about physical activities? What about social activities?" And they're correct. Some of these problems
yeah,
need to be sorted out and they need to be addressed, but they shouldn't be the reason you stop building innovation, right? And so
yeah.
so my so that comes now with that guts, like you have a warrior heart, and so that warrior heart also now doesn't just come from just knowing how to build a startup. It comes from the personality. So I would insist
Exactly.
more on not worrying about funding. Funding is an outcome of good work that you've already done.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
I
worry
like
about
that.
funding. When that moment comes, if you checked all the other boxes, you don't even have. Sometimes you don't even have to seek for funding. You can build a
Right.
company without venture capital or investor funding. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
build company with customers paying you for your product. And so it's not a conversation I'd like to go into because everybody focuses on it, and then that's like skipping courting and dating and jumping straight into marriage.
and then that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, because then instead of focusing on the right, you know, on the product or whatever it is that you built around, you end up just thinking about the money while you're losing focus on. Yeah.
Investors want
Well,
the people with the money wants to give money to. They don't want to give money. That's a problem. We should stop saying that. They're not giving money. They're exchanging money for value. They want to invest their dollar where they get the best of value. And the only
mm,
way, and they run around looking. There's so much money around that's running around looking for really innovative ideas that are potentially highly scalable. Investors are not a charity group. They are not NGOs. They are people. They're buying shares and hoping for 10x returns.
yeah.
Um, and so I would say that it's important that for you, if you're trying to build a small business and hope to raise funding in the future, that you focus on your product and your customer and nothing else. Investors want
Okay.
product customers. You focus on product and customer. Let the investors look for you. You know, um, don't go looking for investors because then you're not focusing on products and customers. As soon as you start growing, investors will hear about you. Hear from your customers, from your suppliers, from your friends.
Okay, gotcha. Well, part of it, but there's something that you said to me, which I absolutely love. I feel like I need to. We'll figure this education and tech bit in just a few. But there's something that you said to me that I really, really love, and I wrote it down. All you have to do is make a good decision a day. I really love that. Do you
Yeah.
remember saying that to me?
Yeah, because I learned it from my friend in Mombasa. When I came to Diani, I met a friend who said that to me, and I was like, "Yep, it was correct." So it was copy pasted straight from me to you the same day.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Um,
You
no,
know,
it's such a,
I
it's
was
such
having
a,
a I was in a clouded space when I was in Diani. So, and again, something a startup founders need to understand is that building a company is really, really difficult. You can really get yourself in a rabbit hole because of the decisions you have to make and all of that. And there's engineering to be done, there's products to be done, there's hiring to be done, there's customer support to be done, there's a whole finance part of the business to be done. And it's all on you
mm,
because you don't have a team, you know, that can do all of that. It's like two of you trying to do all of that. So being in a dark rabbit hole, I presented my challenge to my friend, and my friend said, you know what, stop worrying about
oh,
all the moving pieces here and make one decision at a time.
sorry, this, I'm not even sure what to say about the internet. I'm just like, okay, thanks, Safaricom, for you.
Hey, Safaricom, sponsor into the call in the future. Make sure they have good
I,
internet access.
yeah, please. This would be so great. Um, so the last bit of what you said,
Yeah.
that for a lot of businesses, for directors, there's a lot that you're doing, and so you have to be in a proper, try and take care of your headspace,
Yeah.
your mental space.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
I mean,
That's it.
we're seeing a lot of people, the mental health side of things. A lot of people are
I lost you.
Um, all right, Sam, I almost feel like we need to reschedule another session at
I
some
feel the
point.
same way too. I
Um,
feel the same way too. We may not be able to get into the depths of things if the internet breaks.
I know this is
I'm okay.
terrible.
I'm always available for your podcast. So
I'm sending you love, Sam.
thank you
You've
very
been
much. Thank you very
fantastic.
much.
I know that there's so much more stuff that we really needed to talk about. So I am doing a part two. Safaricom, listen, stop. I'm doing a part two. Um, and yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you to Swahili Beach for hosting me. And I will come back with Sam at another time. Oh.